Hey, everybody, what is up? Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here today to celebrate the launch of the latest EduMatch publication, EduSnap24, which is EduMatch Snapshot in Education 2024. So, just a brief history of our EduSnaps. So, if you've been rocking with us for a while, then you know that we started off our publishing journey with our very first publication back in 2016, EduSnap 16, Snapshot in Education. And pretty much what that was a collection of educators from around the world just kind of sharing a snapshot of what they were learning that year or what they were teaching that year, just kind of like a time capsule so that we could save that and have that to reference back to. So many amazing chapters in there. So we did it over the years, and now we are on number 8. So this is EduMatch Snapshot in Education 2024 that just came out. So we're here to celebrate that. If you want to get access to that, then all you have to do is to go to our website, edumatchpublishing.com, and wait for like 5 seconds, and then there will be a pop-up box, and then you just go ahead, put in your email address, and then you can download completely free, no strings attached, a copy of this book and check out our amazing contributions from this year. So some amazing stuff in there today. And we have two of our authors here today that we are going to be chatting with. Just wanted to give a quick shout out before we do that to all of our authors, all of our contributors. So we see them all here within our book. So huge shout out to everyone here. But we do have with us two phenomenal contributors. So let me see if I can remember how to unshare this. There we go. All right, here we have Melody McAllister and we have Michelle Nere. So if you all could please just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, and it's so cool because if you go back to the author's page, like Michelle, you and Michelle are at the top and I am at the bottom. And I think it's, like that's cool, right? The opener and closers. I'm Melody McAllister, and I've been with EduMatch for several years now. And I got to write a book with them and be a part of their community building a few years ago. And just this is my favorite group, but I'm an educator. I've been in education. I will say my first since 2020 or since 2004, but honestly, since high school, I have been all over education. I've volunteered, it's education for me has been a part of my life since I was a young person. Since I was a freshman in high school, one of my favorite language arts teacher, Miss Reisinger, she's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I just was like, I want to be a teacher. And from that point on, my freshman year, I pursued it everything I could. Whenever we had choice to write over stuff, I wrote over teaching and different things that were coming up in education. I volunteered in college and I took classes in high school that let me go to actual school. So I've just loved it. By college came, when I got to do all my education courses, I was like, oh, this is my life's culmination. It's coming to fruition. And I've always loved everything about education and all the changes that are happening and just being a part of such an amazing group like EduMatch that the educators in our community are ripples all over the place, So when this opportunity came out, I was like, yes, I want to contribute. And, what I love, Sarah, is that the community that we have that you've helped build, like that you literally spearheaded, it's just that we are all over the world. We're global and you give educators a voice. And a lot of times we don't know where to share our voice. And I just love that you are like, hey, this is where you get to. And this year's even different. But anyway, we'll get into all that. I'm a mom of 5. I live in Alaska. I get to be the executive director of our ASTE, which is the Alaskan Society of Technology and Education. But I'm also still teaching this year, full-time subbing whenever I can. And so that's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, Melody. Appreciate you and your passion and heart for education. So thank you so much. And we're going to pass it over to Michelle. But before we do so, got to give a huge shout out to Phonisha. We just found out we have a mutual friend in common. So thank you so much for tuning in. So, all right, Michelle, please take it away.
So I've been in education for 25 years. I've taught from a small little Baptist school to full on SPED 504, you name it, was in the classroom. And I really I soar more, so to speak, in school. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm writing curriculum. And when I'm writing curriculum, I'm also going into the schools and seeing the teachers. And we have 9 middle schools, and we have 4 high schools, and then we have like 26 elementary schools. And I see these teachers who are coming in and are lost. So that was part of why I wanted to write, was because they don't always know who to turn to. And depending on your school, there may not be anybody to turn to because that person has already left. So it was really just trying to go in there and say, hey, you need to try to get some things organized. Let's try to do this and this and this. Set up your rules. Figure out what your rules are. All those types of things, so that first day of school, you don't run out of there screaming, because we have had that. Make sure that our teachers come in and that they stay. We know that our teachers aren't doing as much as far as education as they have in the past, because they don't have to have a full degree in education to be a teacher. So we wanted to give them some of the basics, because they don't get it anywhere else. And even our teachers who go through all the certifications, and they have their masters and they have their doctorate and all that, and you go in and you go, did you miss behavior modification? And they were like, we didn't get that. So it's really trying to make sure that our teachers who are there have something that they can go to and say, hey, let me see, short and sweet, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. I can reset again in January, or I can redo this in August, or whatever works best for them. But for as much as I was for the kids, now I'm more for the teachers, because I know it hits the kids. So I stay fairly busy with all of that, because you're writing curriculum and everything else, but we were joking about it. We had a teacher, PD, at the beginning of the week. Most of the people who were in my position were late leaving, because we were doing our social work with our teachers, because they all needed to talk and say, I miss this, I don't have this, I need this. So it's just out there to work for whoever will basically share their information with you, so that you know exactly what they need. And a lot of my teachers are really good about doing that, and they know it's a safe space. So that's me.
Absolutely. And that is such impactful work and so important. And I can speak from coming from alternative certification, just how many gaps I had that I had to learn along the way. So having somebody in your corner to just kind of help you fill in those gaps goes so far. So so thank you so much for sharing about yourself, both of you. And before we continue, just wanted to give our thoughts to anyone who's affected by the California wildfires right now. We know that we have a lot of our EduMatch family who is concentrated in that area. So, if there's ever anything that y'all need, please feel free to reach out. We got you. So yes. So just wanted to say that really quickly. All right. So going into our very first question, and feel free to just pop in as you are moved to, but what drew you to contribute to the book, and how does this reflect your experiences or passions in education? I think that both of you touched on it in the intro, but if you want to go any deeper into that.
Go ahead, Michelle, if you want to go first.
Okay. For me, it was a matter of, this was a way, I'd already written an article for one of your pieces that you did before, and it was like, I'm getting my toe in the water a little bit more and more. And so it was like, I didn't have to try to find a way to do a whole book. I could do, hey, these are some ideas. These are some basic things. I can get them out to people who can actually use them. And then we'll go from there. If it continues on, great, we'll keep going. But it's really just, to get the information out there. Once again, I mean, our people that are out there that are on the front lines, literally, they don't get all that. And besides that, they don't have time to read everything. I mean, we know as educators, how many books do you have sitting just around you that you haven't had time to read? So in some cases, it's that list saying, hey, did you try this, and then go on from there.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you on that. And Melody, how about you?
The question is, why did I contribute? Yeah, and the chapter reflects. Well, so I had contributed to a couple of EduSnaps previously, and it was closer to when I was in the classroom. And then I took a few years out of the classroom, and I was still immersed in education, but not teaching directly. I was homeschooling my kids, and I homeschooled them through the pandemic and everything like that. So I did take a break because I didn't think I had a lot of stuff to share. But last year, I was a full-time seventh grade social studies and ELA teacher at an amazing middle school here in Anchorage, called Stream Academy, and I would love to go back if they would ever have me. But then, of course, I am the ASTE executive director this year, so that's why I'm not full-time in that anymore. But I just loved my teaching experience. Is it okay if I share my blog post? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I wonder if I need to stop sharing on
Oh,
this side. See
I
if you can share.
okay. Yes, I got it. And so at the
There
end
we
of
go.
last year, and I do blog, and it's called, he gave me a melody, and it's kind of, I'm always a spiritual person. I'm not necessarily like into one religion anymore, but definitely spirituality exists in my life, and I love it. And so it was kind of closer to the end of the year, and I wrote this blog, and I love that you were able to just take, like, I didn't have to rewrite it, copy and paste. You just said, hey, if you've got a podcast or a blog post or anything, just give us the link, and you did all the hard work. So thank you for that. But mine is about like everything that I believe. I love ed tech, right? And I think a lot of us have that in common in EduMatch. But it's not just ed tech for ed tech's sake. What is important to me as an educator is how do I reach the people that I'm in front of, whether it's adults or students, because that is how you want them to learn, right? Like if you can
Mhm.
create an experience that is meaningful to them, it doesn't matter what ed tech tool you're using. Like if you create it and you include them into those learning experiences, then you're going to be successful. For most, I mean, there's always exceptions. It's not like a silver bullet or just the only thing. And I think that that's what I wrote about in my chapter about the experience is what a lot of us in EduMatch have in common. People I see online all the time, they're like, oh gosh, stop talking about relationships. Bleh. Like, I know that none of us feel that here, but to one point to that, it's not just relationships. Like you have to have rigor. You have to challenge your students. You have to have high expectations, but you also have to make it about them. If you don't want your students to just dump the knowledge that they just learned about, or if they did learn anything, if you don't want them to just dump it and forget it, then you have to create an experience in your classroom where they're open to learning. And that way it sticks in their brain. And honestly, I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I love students, and for the most part my students love me, and I still have relationships, like friendships with, some of my first students are in their 30s and they're doing amazing things, and they find me on, social media, and some of their parents I'm still friends with. It's because relationships are to me important, but it's not just about that. It's about high expectations. It's about inviting them in what it matters to you. I'm wearing my Chief shirt today. When middle school boys, they a lot of
Mhm.
them love football, so they love coming into the classroom and giving me a hard time about my team, right? And it's funny, and it doesn't bother me if they hate the Chiefs. I mean, most of the world hates us at this point, but but like it's that what do you say, camaraderie? Did I say that
Mhm.
word right? It's about inviting them in where they feel safe, where they can tell you, yeah, your team sucks. I mean, middle school, like, your team is skibbity toilet right now, or you have no riz, whatever. Okay, just letting them be themselves, and making it a little bit about them. That's why I wanted to share, because last year was one of my favorite years, because at the school that I was teaching at, which I'm going to throw it out there because I think they're doing amazing work, Anchorage Stream Academy. um, I just loved it. I had such a good year. I didn't leave the classroom because I didn't want to be in the classroom. It was just, they allowed us to be able to teach in a way. And I don't know, it was just an amazing year. I wrote about it. And then you said, hey, you gave us the opportunity. And I'm like, I'm going to share this. This is one of my
Mhm.
favorite. This really encapsulizes who I am as an educator. So
Yeah, I totally feel you. So much to unpack with what both of you said. So absolutely. I just have to say I almost died with the skibbity Riz toilet. I, I that's like I was in the classroom until 2015. And then I moved to central office at that point. So I've been a little removed from kids. So the new slang, I'm just seeing about it on Facebook. And otherwise I would be totally whoo, like what?
Mhm.
But
they,
I'm
and yeah, and my kids, they're like high school and middle school age, and they're like, we don't say skibbity toilet that much anymore. Like it's really not, but they're still saying Riz. Somebody said, "Do you think I have any Riz, Mom?" Don't ask me.
That is too funny. Yeah, I'm gonna get it in about 10 years though when my daughter hits middle school age. So I'm getting prepared, and by then it'll be like that's gonna be the language right there. We'll be speaking in robotics or something. So okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. But all right, so to move on to the next question. As you reflect on your contribution, how do you see it fitting into the broader conversations that are happening in education today? Because both of you have extremely relevant chapters. I just I love the book this year, like just going through and seeing all the contributions, what everyone has shared. And I know I say this every year, so y'all are probably like, whatever, Sarah, but seriously, like this year, just the work in there is just like, chef's kiss. So how do y'all see your topics fitting into the broader conversation happening in education?
Well, and I'm sorry, Michelle, if you ever want to go first, you just tell me. Stop talking so much, Melody.
We can ping pong.
Okay, yeah.
And then Michelle, you'll start next question.
That sounds good. So there's a lot about education right now and our education system that I think absolutely needs to change. And there's so much that is so old, like from over 100 years ago. Like everything about our world has advanced, but we're still doing the same thing. We're still teaching. A lot of us are still teaching the same way. And a lot of it is built on like your expertise in your content area, right? And not really like some of the same books that we all read and our high school experiences are still being pushed down the throats of students. It's like, come on, there's lots of things that we could be doing better and different than how we learn. So I feel like my chapter is kind of like me saying, and I hate to say this, but in this broken system that we are all trying so hard to make better, this is what you can do inside. So even though not all three of us, we are still trying to push the system that we're in, right? It's going to take so much to change that. So, but you can still do a lot with what you have and the influence that you have. If you think about student experience, if you're willing to learn what Riz means, if you're willing to say, why are people like, I have a TikTok and it has a lot of followers and people are saying that's so Ohio. And I'm like, no, I live in Alaska. What are you talking about? Like, if you're willing to update, and understand what they're saying and laugh it off, not take things so personally, and still include your students in the experience of what they're learning, you're going to find success. And there's so much about our educational systems right now that like kind of put our hands behind our back and we don't feel like we have success or any like say over. So that's what my chapter is. Yes, we still have some say. We can still have success in these systems that do definitely need to change. But with the influence and the relationships that we have, this is how we move forward for the best interest of our students.
Love that. Fantastic. Michelle?
And what I had in mind, because I'm doing more, I consider it the pre-work where it's them setting up, it's getting them organized in a way and giving teachers things that they figure out they need to know now. I'm social studies through and through, and we have the hardest vocabulary words. We have the most vocabulary words, and in Texas, we don't get a dictionary on our test. So that's one of those big things. It's like, you got to fit this in somewhere. I don't know where you're going to fit it in. And also it's like, you can do it the old school way. Because for me, that worked for most of my students. But at the same time, if it's better for your kids to go do a TikTok, I want your kids to go do a TikTok. And I want your teachers who are experienced not afraid to go do that TikTok with them. So that may be, hey, Michelle, I want to do something different. And it's like, okay, what do you want? I don't know. I'm going to go find something, do the research on it for them, and then go teach it to the teacher so that the teacher can go and be familiar with it with the kids. Not teach it to the kids because the kids already know what it is, but it's trying to make it so that it's something that the kids would want to do. And, like we said, education's got to change. By the time it changes, I will probably be retired. But at the same time, it's like until you get there, you have to find ways that make, I'm going to say the bad word, connections with the kids. And the football to me was the perfect way because I have two boys. And when I was in the lower middle school classes, literally I'd look at my kids and go, okay, it's Monday morning. Who won? Who lost? Okay. And we're in Texas. So it's like, what did Houston do? what did the Texans do? What did the Saints do? Whatever. And we'd go into school and we'd start talking football just because that was the connection. Maybe I have a kid who's a skateboarder and I'm going to ask them about their skateboard or something like that. But you're making the connections so that we can make these changes, because the changes are going to happen with us or without us. And in many cases, we're not always brought to the table where we need to be. We have others who are making those decisions, political or not, it has nothing to do with politics, but we have people who are above us who are making decisions that we really need to be part of if possible.
Absolutely.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah,
well, number one, you almost made me cry when you talked about connections. I didn't broadcast this to anybody, but my 2025 one word, it found me. It's all about connections, and I see that the importance of connections in everything that I do, personally and professionally. But something that you talked about was like, we don't have to teach our students everything. You welcome your students' expertise, Michelle, and I think that if we forget that big piece, we're losing out on that connection. When we know that our students have expertise that we don't have and we don't need to have because they have it, like drawing on that allows for their student experience to just be top notch. And I want to say also, one of the things I love about this book, Sarah, is that everybody who contributed, we are all in different areas of education. We all have different roles. And while it shouldn't be political, but it is very political. Who knows who will have eyes on some of our chapters? Who knows how these chapters will influence the reader and whatever role that they're in? And it may, I wish that it would probably be bigger, but you just never know how just sharing what you are finding, your success in education, will help somebody else find that as well. So.
Yes, absolutely love that. And I couldn't have said that better myself. So, so everybody who's watching, please spread the word, like whether you're watching us live or you're watching us later or what have you. This book is free 99, free, FREE. So just go to EduMatchPublishing.com. Let me actually throw that back on the screen. Where is it? Okay, there we go. EduMatchPublishing.com. Wait 5 seconds till you get the pop-up, which is a good thing in this case. And then just put in your email address and you'll get the book for free. And you can also find it if you like a paperback version, and we have that on Amazon at a very low cost. We have it on Kindle at a very low cost as well, the lowest possible cost that they would let us get away with. So definitely check that out. Oh, thank you so much, Phoenicia. Love to see that. So
is it okay if I say something, Sarah?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I think that if you're going to go to the trouble of ordering it off Amazon, like the paperback copy, buy yourself several copies, because if you're anything like me, like I give all of mine away and then I'm like, I have to go back and buy some. So if you want to keep a copy on your own shelf, buy multiple copies, because this is such a good, number one, it's a great gift. Okay. But also it's such a good thing when you're at a conference. A lot of us go to conferences. When you're at a conference and you're talking about connections and everything, just giving that, giving that to somebody else makes a difference. And I've done that over the years and it's very impactful. So that's my tidbit on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like it's like $6 or something. So you know, you can
and the other thing is that for some people, and these are the old people, me, it's like if it's in print, it's always, thank you for it's always, an idea of I like things in print better. It just makes it easier for me, or I'll tag it in my library of books and I know where it is. If it's on my computer, it might not be different. Or you have that boss or someone above you that goes, oh, wait, this was published? Yes, it was published. So that'll help you as well.
When I shared this opportunity, when Sarah put it out there earlier this year, I welcomed it to our Alaskan educators. I'm like, listen, more of you need to be contributing to this. This is a part where our voices need to be heard. And I know that what happens is a lot of people think they want to do it, but as time goes on, you either do it or you don't. So I totally get that. And there is such power in publishing. And something that I love that you have also done, Sarah, is you have taken what we feel is hard about publishing and brought it to all of us, so that you took out the hard part of it, right? And you've also celebrated the work that we're doing. I mean, you gave us all a bio page, and so that you're Michelle, you're probably doing a lot on the side as well, just constantly helping educators. So this spotlight that you put on us, Sarah, and I hate calling you just Sarah because you're Dr. Sarah Thomas. You're an amazing, accomplished woman. You are making the waves in education, and you're making it so that all of us are able to have our voice when historically teachers don't get a lot of say in anything. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. See, you're gonna make me all misty and everything. Appreciate you. But yes, I appreciate you so much. Both of you. Like, thank you so much to you all and to everyone who has contributed just for your willingness to share. And I know, like, I know how scary it can be sometimes, like for folks to actually put their work out there. I was in that spot myself, before. Like, I remember very clearly the days where I was just like, oh, I have something to say. I'm afraid, how it's going to come across and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, folks got to put it out there. Like, we're going to learn from one another. And like y'all said, you never know who is watching, who is listening, who can be influenced by your words. So absolutely. And by the end of the show today, then I'll put up the link for anyone who wants to contribute for next year's edition. Hopefully you all will come back. So we hope to have you back. But absolutely. And Phoenicia said that Michelle, she needs hers autographed.
Of course she does.
Absolutely. All right, fantastic. So let's get a little granular here. In terms of one piece of advice that you might give from your chapter or the book as a whole that you think that the readers might find the most impactful. So I think we're starting first with Michelle.
Okay. For me, and this is how I function, it's being organized. Whatever your organization system happens to be. Because too often, you'll have a student who turns in a paper to you that's due in a week, and you're not going to find it because you've done so much else as a teacher. So it's making sure that everything is lined out. What are your rules in your class? That helps your kids learn how, and it's that skill that they need. Because for some of our kids, there is chaos everywhere. This is the only place that there is some normalization. And by giving them that way, whether they take that strategy on with them or not, it helps them because they need to know this needs to be done at this time, helping schedule things out, calendar on the wall, whatever it happens to be, because our babies are watching so much stuff. Their attention span is an ant. And so therefore, they're not going to remember that you told them that they have homework tomorrow. They're not going to remember what they ate for lunch today. So therefore, whatever we can do to kind of give them some kind of structure more than anything else, because I've had people say, somebody says, oh, that teacher's really strict. No, that teacher's very structured. That teacher knows this is what needs to happen. And a lot of times what will happen for our teacher's sake is the kids function better in their class. You find out, oh, you got to go to a teacher conference with the parent. And I don't have problems with this kid. He's good for me. She's good for me, but not somewhere else because there's too much chaos going on over there. So it's trying to help the kids, and in turn, it helps the teachers, and on and on. It may help you at home with your family.
Yeah, for sure. I think I could take that advice into my life. So 100%. All right, fantastic. And how about you, Melody?
Well, and I want to say to Michelle that like being strict and structured is not a bad thing at all. And it doesn't mean that you don't have strong relationships. It means that you are consistent for your students and they know that you're going to show up and they can trust you. And I used to, when I was a younger teacher, I thought that being strict meant that you were mean. And I don't think that at all. You can be sweet and nice and you're true to your personality and still have those high expectations, have that consistency, and it will build your students up. So I love that you talk about that because it's so important. I just want to say, as teachers, educators, whatever realm you're in, we are so talented and we create amazing lesson plans, or we create this incredible learning biome for our students. But as the days go on, as the weeks go on, we get tired and we start checking off the things that we must be done. Especially, Michelle, I spent most of my years teaching in Texas, and I remember to count down to the test, the STAR test, right?
Definitely.
Or the tax test, whatever it was, but don't cut those corners because you're getting your checklist completed. Remember that even if you teach 5 periods of the same class, that it is a brand new experience for the students just coming in, and that amazing lesson that you designed to reach your students. Don't rush through it. And it's okay if you forgot, if you've already taught them or not. Like, I get that. I've been there so many times. but do your very best to make it what you designed it to be. Because when you designed it to reach your students, if you start rushing through it or just get so in your mind about, like, I've already done this, I'm sick of this, you're limiting the student experience in that, and you owe yourself better, because you went to all the trouble to do what you did, and your students do too. And I think one way to combat that is just to slow down.
Yeah.
Every time we do a lesson, we get better at it, right? And then we're like, oh, well, I can take this out and this out and this out. But just remember that some of those pieces that we learned the hard way with the first period can still be a part of the learning experience that you're having with your fifth period. Like, just slow down. I think we just get rushed and we get tired, and that's very human of us, and there's nothing wrong with that. But put reminders to help you slow down. Maybe it's like having your favorite snack. Maybe it's stopping when your kids first come into your period and having those conversations like Michelle was talking earlier about, like the connections that you're building. But just put those things in place so that their experience is still your number one priority, even when you're tired, because you designed an incredible, I just want to say this again because I love it, a learning biome for your students. And every single student that comes through those doors deserves to have the incredible experience that you just designed.
Yes, indeed. I love that. Experiencing the learning process. So that is fantastic, y'all. So one thing I'm going to throw on the screen really quickly, as promised, for anyone who wants to join us for our EduSnap25. So you don't have to decide today. You have up until, like, let's say August-ish to make that decision. But save this link. This is a link to our Google Classroom. If you want to come in and be on the panel a year from today, you could be up here. So just go ahead and sign up if you're interested, if you're an educator and you have something to share. We would love to hear from you. All right, y'all. So we kind of touched on this on the previous question. So I hope I'm not being duplicitous. Is that even a word? Duplicative here. But I guess this is more so about the encouragement and the encouragement with other educators. So anything, it could be related to your chapter or not related to your chapter. Anything that you want to share, if you could broadcast like one thing to the whole educational community around the world, what would it be?
Yeah, I think that it would just be, so you can read this book from cover to cover if you wanted to, or you could look through the chapters and see which one resonated the most before you dived in. But I think this is a great book to just read by how you want to read it. If you like reading cover to cover, go for it. If you want to pick out those chapters that you feel are more applicable to what you're doing, start with those. But what you're doing is, even just reading is so powerful because you're connecting with that author, and Sarah has put all the information to connect with those authors. And if you've never been in a community of educators who truly care about the learning experience of their students, who are willing to learn this is a great place to start. I remember feeling very lonely. And I think that teachers that are constantly improving their teaching game and doing amazing and innovative things often feel lonely because a lot of the people around them, and I'm not trying to belittle anybody, but a lot of the people around them aren't necessarily willing to go to the extent that we are to sharpen our craft. I don't even know if that makes sense, but anyway, it does get lonely. And so if you're one of those people that feels alone right now, and you know that you're doing great work, maybe nobody else is seeing it, like, this is a great book so that you don't feel alone. And then you can reach out to those authors that are just educators like every day, like everybody else is, and say, hey, how explain to me more, like, how could I make this better? Or I'm doing this, what are your thoughts on this? Any feedback? And I think that's a great way to build a connection with people that are outside of your classroom to strengthen your own skill set.
I agree with what Mel said, because the thing is that your teachers or anybody else you're going to meet don't know how you work necessarily, especially if we're going through the book. So I remember one of the first meetings I had with a bunch of my teachers that I got 7 years ago, and one of them was going to be a smart aleck and said, well, how long did it take you to do this presentation? And I said, 20 years. it takes that long to create everything. So using the book as the example, you don't have to do everything in the book this year. I would pick one big project, because that generally as a teacher meant one big financial, contribution I had to make. And I'd make it, and I'd make sure it was done where I did it on cardstock, laminated it, I cut it out, I have it all organized, and I add that to what I'm doing next. Because there are teachers who will come out and say, but I can't do all this. You're not supposed to be able to do everything all the time. You're supposed to be able to build. And if you're fortunate enough to have a partner teacher, that even if they don't have the ideas all the time, if they're willing to cut the stuff out for or laminate it, you can work together so that it does make it a bit easier. But being lonely is very easy to do because you're working your butt off on a regular basis. And that's all the stuff that you're doing because you're a good person. And they don't all know that in the office where they're, deciding whatever's going on for tomorrow when there's going to be, a fire drill in the middle of your classroom. So it's just, it's the way it is. That's kind of like, how you're earning your way to heaven is all the extra hours that no one sees. But also depending on what your family life is. I mean, I had a lady who I knew, she says, that's what my husband and I do because they didn't have any children. We cut out little hands for 3-year-olds on Sundays or whatever it was, because that was their time because it had to get done.
For sure. So I love what both of you shared, like, taking the baby steps and putting in like little things little by little, and also connecting. So making those deep connections, that's what EduMatch is all about. How you might have someone on the other side of the world that you just connect with randomly one day and find out that y'all have so much in common. Shout out to my friend in the Philippines, who we've been friends for now maybe like a decade or so. Never met in person, and hopefully we will one day, but we met through the EduMatch Voxer. So huge shout out to Trix, as you're known in the Voxer community. I won't put your full name on blast, but but yes, absolutely. So great conversation, y'all. And this is taking us to our final question. So before we close out, I wanted to really thank y'all for your time. I'll have time to thank y'all at the end. I don't know why I'm thanking y'all now, but I just feel like thanking y'all because y'all are both amazing. So what excites you the most about how readers might use this book in their own educational journeys or contexts?
Michelle, do you want to go first?
It's your turn.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
What excites me the most, honestly, is that other educators will be like, I want to do this too. I want to share. Like I get excited when you share out this link, Sarah. Like I copied it down because I'm going to take it back to my ASTI community and be like, you should do this too. I want other educators to feel empowered by sharing their experiences. I think that, yeah, and I've said this already, but our experiences are oftentimes overlooked. But the way that we are able to encourage one another because we're all in the trenches together is so incredibly important. And your message, whatever it may be, whether it's a message of I need help, I'm struggling, or hey, this is something that I have come up to help me with whatever this situation is. And we've already talked about this a little bit, but it is so helpful, especially if you're in a learning community that isn't really willing to take on everybody's voices yet, where you're not really able to share all of that. And also, if you do participate in this wonderful experience, you're facing something that, like Sarah already talked about, how hard it is to get your message out to the world. And the whole world's not going to read it by any means. I mean, that would be really cool if they did. But it's still scary. It feels like you're kind of standing naked in front of people, being judged for just your thoughts. And this is a great step in learning how that feels, and learning that your words are powerful, that you have no idea the influence that you have. And then also, once you've done that, people connecting with you, those connections again, saying, thank you for sharing that. It really resonated with me. It helped me when I was facing this. And I just think that that's a chain reaction that I want to be a part of. So that's how I feel about this whole experience.
Yeah, I believe that, we have to put our voice out there, because there are many people that won't. And by us sharing what we know, what we don't know, asking for help, will encourage other people to actually, voice their opinions. I mean, there's a lot of times you get 2 or 3 teachers in a room, we're going to start talking about, well, how'd you do this? What'd you do there? How are you dealing with this student or this principal or what happens to be? And you can get some answers. You might not get them all, but you'll get enough of them that you have a starting point. And I think for a lot of our teachers, they need that starting point. And if you're looking at new teachers because they're brand new to everything, or on the opposite end, the seasoned teachers, we don't call them old teachers anymore where I am, the seasoned teachers who don't want to change. We're not going to change a seasoned teacher 100%. But if I can get you to do 3 lessons in a week that are different, and I'm coming to hold your hand for some of them, or your partner teacher next to you shows you how to use, TikTok or Nearpod or whatever it happens to be, you're helping to make those changes. And since we don't exactly know what our education systems are going to be like, let alone across the nation, but besides state by state, we need to be together, because we're going to have to be calling on people saying, hey, what did you do? Because I'm clueless. They decided to flip everything all of a sudden, and you go, what do I do now? So I think that's going to be our thing, is staying together. I mean, as teachers and administrators, everything else, we are a very large group of people who probably have a whole lot of political power, but we don't use it most of the time.
Agreed. And
that's a word.
Yeah,
that is a word right there.
And Michelle, when you said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you said voice their opinion, honestly, it's their expertise. We do not give ourselves the credit that but it's, and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not an expert in this. Excuse me. But if you have been teaching for a few years and you're starting to see what helps kids or what doesn't help, and you're honing in on that and making a better practice, you are becoming an expert in your field. And when you publish, when you actually take the time to publish, whether it's your personal blog, whether it's your podcast, whether it's EduSnaps, your word becomes even stronger. And I don't think that people think about the influence, but your influence becomes stronger. And just like Michelle said, when we band together and we share these experiences, that's one way that our connection is growing, and one way our power is growing. So everything you're saying, Michelle, it's our expertise, and oftentimes get overlooked. This is how we show the world what we're learning and what we're about.
Yeah. Man, y'all have me fired up right now. EduMatch policy coming up. Say, no, I'm just joking. EduMatch policy advocacy, but no, that might actually be a thing. But I didn't say that. But anyway, but yes, this was fantastic, y'all. I really appreciate y'all taking the time to come and share about your chapters and share your insights and your expertise. This was beautiful. So thank you so much to Melody and to Michelle for being here. Thank you to everyone for watching. And before we go, just going to drop a little bit more information on you. Let me just bring this back up. So we have our book here that you can find on our website, edumatchpublishing.com. In addition, thank you to all of the contributors to the book that are listed here. And if you want to sign up for next year's edition, if you're an educator, then you can just go ahead and find our bit.ly. This will drop you right into the Google Classroom. Just some words of advice for the Google Classroom. Do it with a personal account. If you do one that is your district account, or one that, is your branded domain that ends in, whatever website you bought.com or .org or whatever, it may or may not work. So you might want to just use a straight up gmail.com email address to before you go on this link. If it doesn't work, sign out of everything, like on your Chrome browser, sign out of all accounts, and then sign back in with your gmail.com. Thank you so much, Monisha, for tuning in. Appreciate you doing that. Yeah. And then pretty much what you can do is that you can submit on anything that you are teaching or learning about in 2025. Early contributions are very, very much welcomed. I think, Michelle, you might have been our first contributor for this year. So very much appreciated. But, we take them up until the fall. So if you need a second to think about it, that's totally fine. But just you could share it you could share a blog that you've already written. You could share an original piece of content, anything that you have the rights to. You could even take a podcast episode that you've done and share that with us. We use artificial intelligence to make that into a chapter in some cases. So that's something new that we've been working with, Sign of the Times. We try to pivot. This was our first year doing it, and it worked out pretty well. So we're going to continue doing that. So yeah, and if you do have a podcast guest and they can be a co-author with you or something like that. And in addition, just a little bit more about EduMatch. As you know, we have publishing, so we have about 100 books that we have currently published. Taking a little bit of a hiatus for that as we pivoted to our professional learning branch. The EduSnaps are still going, but in terms of new submissions, we've taken a brief hiatus on that. We'll be bringing it back at some point in the near future. But you may be eligible for free professional learning through EduMatch through one of our partners, Google or Adobe. So just contact info@edumatch.org to see if you might be eligible for that. I felt like there was another slide, but I don't think it carried over. But anyway, with all of that being said, we want to wish you all the very, very best. Check us out on Facebook. If you're not in our Facebook community, we invite you to do so. Facebook.com/groups/EduMatchFam and our website, edumatch.org. We are on Blue Sky. Check us out, EduMatch. We're also on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So
Can I say something?
Yeah, please do.
I always have to say something, right?
Okay.
EduMatch changed my trajectory. EduMatch changed my trajectory in education and all the paths that I have gone for almost a decade at this point, or the bigger part of a decade. Being connected with like-minded educators who help you grow is a way to change your professionalism. And Sarah calls it, our PLN, our PLF, professional learning family. It is literally what it means to me. I know no matter where I have gone or where I travel, whatever job I have, that I can lean on my EduMatch fam to help me to figure out what if I have questions or if I have something to share. It has seriously, if you're not connected with a group of educators, this is the best place to start, and you will not regret it. It has literally changed my life for the better. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mel. That was very, very sweet. And you as well, you've been an integral part of our EduMatch fam. So thank you so much for that. And Michelle, thank you as well for being part of our EduMatch fam. And we hope to continue our journey with you. And have you back for some more EduSnaps and everything else that we do. So
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much for having tuned in. And one more time, get your copy, edumatchpublishing.com. Wait 5 seconds. All right. So with that, we are out. So have a wonderful rest of your Saturday or whenever you watch this. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.